Hi, I'm Kathy Freeman with Kathy Freeman Art. I am out enjoying this beautiful weather. I hope you're having good weather wherever you are. Creating this project with you, I've got the best of both worlds. Gorgeous weather, can do this outside, and a fun creative project. We are going to work tonight on what I call an abstract pumpkin. I wanted to take you through this project. It's on a little 4x6 watercolor paper. You'll need a small piece of watercolor paper, some gesso, a couple of acrylics, paints. I use a burgundy, a yellow gold, an apple green, a turquoise. The turquoise is actually an acrylic crayon, but you don't have to have that crayon to be able to do this. You can use your paints just as easily. I use a template, and I will put that on a page that I'm going to be posting this video when it's through, so that you have access to that for a very short time. I'll keep it up there for the next day, and then I will be adding something else new for you, another surprise. I want to tell you that right now I have my art community open, my Art Sisters. I want to invite you to take a look at what it is that we do. I meet with them. Basically, everything is recorded, but I come online with them on Mondays and create the project with them. We have 3 projects a month, a variety of different things that we do. And it's all kept in the library, recorded, so that they have instant access to it when it's convenient for them, because it's not always convenient when I'm posting. So it's kind of nice to be able to work around your own schedule. And that is the beauty of online. The other thing that I love is I have gotten to know women from all over the United States, up in Alaska, over in Australia. I had a woman there. It's just fun to meet new people and to connect with them. Very supportive group, extremely supportive group. So if you are an artist that would love to be able to be part of a group, maybe you're not an artist. Maybe you don't consider yourself an artist, but you're at a stage where you're like, I want to try my creative side. I want to give this a go. This is the place for you. A good variety of different kinds of projects. I am a mixed media artist. That means that basically we use different products, different art things within our projects that add a little bit of interest and a lot of variety to them. So I'm going to go ahead now and take you through this next project, and I'll talk with you after we're through. I used the 4x6 card. I've got it taped down, and this is tissue paper that I found. I really love the texture of it and the pattern. So I'm going to use my matte gel and cover the page. I'm going to take the tissue, and I've got it. It's actually a little bit smaller than the space. More gel on this side. Get that stuck down very good. There we go. Now, you won't have the same tissue paper, obviously, that I have here, but if you can find something with, this really nice contrast going on, this black and kind of beige or black and white, that would be super great. Or create it yourself. Make it out of paper of your own. I see a few little air bubbles I've got, so I'm going to try to squeeze those out because I don't want it to lift. There. Perfect. Now you can let that dry if you want, but rather than making you sit and wait for it to dry, I'll give it a light drying, and then I'm going to move on to the next layer.
A little blast. That took care of that. All right, now what we're going to do is take our template. Well, that's always why I do like to dry it, because then I can see if there's any spots that are left that maybe didn't get down as well. So this little spot right here. There we go. And this is all flat up against the edge. So I'm going to use this edge right here because paint can cover the other side. Let me give it another little dry. Tissue paper dries really fast. All right, your template, I just simply stuck it right here, edge to edge. And I let it overlap like it was. I'm going to take my brush. And I'm going to gesso out all around it. So I'm holding the pattern down and I'm going to brush outward, because I'm not sticking down the pattern and I want it to not necessarily go underneath. If it goes underneath it a little bit, it's not a problem because you're going to be adding paint to it anyhow.
Because I'm using gesso, it's really working out nice because gesso's a little transparent and you can see this wonderful texture underneath. This, what I'm actually doing here, is considered painting the negative space because I'm painting all the space outside of the pumpkin. I'm not painting the pumpkin right now. I'm painting the space around it.
And I'm putting a couple of coats on there. Scoop that up. And there's our little pumpkin. Now you can still take your template and make two and then draw out over if you want. A little challenging. I don't think I'll be able to see it on that. And I'm going to dry this so I can use this. That way I can show you how to do that. All right. We just place our pumpkin back. Sure, shiny side is down. And we're going to take something that has a, let's see, I need a pin. There we go. This is just, hopefully it'll show through, but it's to give you some guidelines. Going to be, let's see. Okay, I can barely see it. A little bit in there, but that will help. The pattern makes it more difficult to see. And then we're just going to start painting it. And first off, what I used So I took some white and outlined it. So I'm going to get some white acrylic paint. And I created my little separations in the pumpkin. Then I used, this is actually a true burgundy, it's called. And just hit the top of the pumpkin here. Some of the pumpkin here. You're just going to put a little bit of coloring here and there. Some of it will get covered up when you go back through, and some of it won't. Then I took this green, which the name of this particular green is Lily Pad. Created my stem. And I mixed it with a little bit of this Golden Sunset. Need a nice color. While I'm doing that, we'll go ahead and paint some of, see, I want it to be a little more golden, yellow green. There we go. We'll take that Golden Sunset. I'm going to apply it over here on this side of the pumpkin. Get a little bit on that side, even a little up here. See that? We're just putting it in there. If you want, you can add a little bit up here. Add that color. All right, now I'm going to dry that. Here comes my favorite part. This is actually an art crayon, and so I'm gonna add the turquoise to it. Feels like it's dry enough. Yes, yes, and I'm just gonna do a little line. Like so. We'll start with that. Now, the fun part. So use the gesso to spread it. Gesso on my finger. Look at that. Isn't that cool? And just take the gesso now and create kind of a smoky and milky covering over the top. Not the whole thing, but a good majority of it. You're going to leave some of the actual pattern showing through. I'm going to soften that a little bit. Gesso has gotten quite thick because I'm down at the end of it. I'm going to add some water. I want it to go translucent. Put a little water on this because I want to see if I could lift some of the gesso off of that deep burgundy up there. I'd like to kind of keep that. I can always go back and add a little bit of that. Easily. Let's see here. Actually blend it in. I really love it how when the colors do blend. Here. It always helps to take a picture of it. Look, if you're like for myself, looking up here into the camera in the area, it helps me see it. It looks different than when you're looking at it straight on. What else? Let's see what. Add a little rain up in this area. Like my fingers. Just a little bit. I love using my fingers because it just makes it. Right. Now I'm going to dry that because if I keep adding on top, it's going to start blending.
Now we're going to take that gesso and go back over some of this painted area. I want to create kind of a smoky, cloudy, whatever word you want, but I'm pushing some of that color back and so that it just sort of peeps through. Once again, I love to use gesso because it's so transparent. And it puts a nice surface over the top, but you can see that color coming through. Such a great thing to add to your work as you're, as you're trying to create a different effect, if you're trying to create this kind of an effect. Now, if you're looking at it and you think you've lost a little bit of your color, you can come back in and add it. I felt like I'm missing a little in this spot right here. So I'm adding the turquoise and I'm going to grab some of this gesso and go over the top because that will activate the color. So you can just keep layering on top of each other and adding color. If you add a little more gesso and really play with it and see what you come up with. Let's see, I think we can add a little more of this turquoise here. Definitely need some more there. I'm going to activate and blend. So you're using the gesso to activate and blend.
I'm going to stop right there. It looks... I can always go back and add more colors, but now I'm going to do my outlining. At this point, it's starting to, it looks like it's a little bit of a mess, doesn't it? But the outlining helps to pull it together. And what I'm going to use for that, first I'm going to dry it, but I'm going to use my watercolor pencil.
If you see little spots that you need to add, like I did this yellow, just grab your, your brush and add it as you're drawing. It's probably not the best way to do it, but it works great. So as you're drying it and you're looking around, just grab a little paint and add it here. And I wouldn't do that if I was actually painting a large surface, but because it's just these little teeny tiny areas, it's not a big deal. When you're working with an abstract like this, something that's more of an illustrative, it's really about the feel and where do you feel like you need a little more color? Where is it too washed out? Where do you want to pull colors together and really emphasize? This is all about right now just kind of going with the feel of it, making sure that it flows, that your eye wants to move around it and look at a lot of the different parts. The most important thing to look for is that your eye wants to flow back and forth, that it doesn't get stuck in one area for too long. I'm going to pick up a little more gesso here, and go over some of these areas and just set it back a little bit.
So that part's going to be wet. Finish drying that. It's going to be really neat. All right, let's go in now and do some of the drawing with it. Looking at my pattern, little template, so we have something to follow. And do this loosely, kind of sketchy.
Don't be concerned with making your lines extremely dark because this is going to get activated with water. Remember, we're using our watercolor pencil here. And so once we're through, we'll take the brush, the paintbrush, add some water to it, and we will activate it. And that will darken it, but it'll also help it to kind of blend out with the rest of the image. The nice thing about this project is it is so easy. It looks very hard. And so when you look at it or you give it to someone and they look at it, it looks like a very, difficult project. But as you've seen, it's very easy. It's just being layer upon layer, being patient, letting things kind of dry. And that's it. It was very simple to do.
Right.
Now that we've outlined it, we are going to go ahead and it's time to grab your paintbrush and some clean water. You're just going to add water to your brush and start going over those lines. You don't need a lot of water. A tiny, small brush will do, and just paint right over the line area. And actually, I'm kind of rubbing back and forth a little bit so that it blends it out and it kind of feathers it, you might say. You can just go straight down like I am right here. And can you see how much darker that makes that? Such a wonderful tool. And go back over it a couple of times and spread it out. It'll give it, I always have to kind of pat it if it gets too much water on, or I get, going, it gets too dark. That's a great thing, is if you do put the water on and it's darker than what you wanted, don't panic. Grab your paper towel and dab over the top of it, and it will help lift up some of that pencil. There's our little pumpkin coming to life. I like to rub my brush, rub it back and forth as you're doing it. Kind of just jiggle it, kind of unevenness, just jiggle it back and forth, and it helps to feather. Get a little dark, just lift it up, just like that. This little 4x6 is really a stunning card when we're through. Can you think of who would you give it to? I mean, it's the perfect time of year, something to send a happy wish or celebrate the holiday coming up, whatever. It's just very impressive. And it's there again, it's so easy to do, but yet makes quite an impact. And it's a beautiful piece of art that they could frame and keep forever. There is our pumpkin. Create the line a little bit more prominent right through here. Let's come back with a little gesso. Blend that in. All right, there is our pumpkin. Let's dry it and take off the tape.
Okay. All right, let's take off that tape and see what we've got. I do love using the crayons, watercolor crayons. There it is. That's beautiful. Turned out wonderful.
Thank you for joining me. It was a lot of fun to create. If you will go to my website, kathyfreemanart.com, you will find on there the link that takes you to my Art Sisters, to the page that opens up. It explains what I do, what we create, gives you some good examples of some of the projects that I've offered in the past. I love to create things that are not only just simple and fun to do, but also stretch us a little bit creatively. Thank you again for joining me. Check out the page, kathyfreemanart.com, and I really look forward to spending some time with you.